On this part of the walk, we're going to be looking at our forage brassica and the grasses demonstration. Again, there'll be the flyovers with the drone to go and inspect the individual treatments. We've got 5 different brassicas here. The 2 key ones are the leafy turnip and the forage rape. So it's the one that mainly is used, which is Mainstar, and the pasture 2 leafy turnip. So this one is the quickest feed off the mark, is what is the positioning for it from the Agriscience point of view. With the ryegrasses, we've got 9 different grass species, but what we're looking at there is the 5 key ryegrass, the perennial types which have been sown. Paradigm is now registered for use over those in a mix with MCPA LVE. We have put some different mixes with 2,4-Ds, etc. in there, just with the COVID scenario and the supply of the different phenoxies this year. We've put some different mixes in to test some of the crop selectivity. We're not endorsing those per se, but you're seeing some research in progress. I guess the summary of the ryegrass is that Paradigm is really selective over ryegrass at 25 grams plus your mixing partner with uptake spray oil. What we've seen here is that we're about 4 weeks after application, we are actually ready for a graze. We're waiting for this field day to occur so we can then get in and simulate a grazing and do some dry matter cuts on here. Please take a look at the videos and have a look at your different varieties by different mixtures. The treatments, they've started at the ryegrass end, at the soprano turf, and they've sprayed them all the way across the 22 metres across to the end of the next walkway. So with the trial, you can see that we've sprayed Paradigm across the forage brassicas as well. This is obviously not what we'd advocate, but what it does indicate is that when you've got some targeted brassica weeds, that this is a really, really good option to use when in mixtures with your phenoxy herbicides. But, and obviously Forage Max, what that's demonstrating, as per the label, is that you can use it in a combination when you've got ryegrass and forage brassicas together. So we're demonstrating really good selectivity, but importantly, just to understand that those mixtures have gone across the ryegrass and the forage brassicas. Here in the ryegrass and grass screen with forage brassicas, we're just going to specifically refer to Paradigm and its mixtures and its selectivity. And you can see we've got really good control when you're mixing Paradigm and Paradigm LVE with your dead nettle versus the untreateds. We've got weeds that are popping up sporadically, but what we're seeing is no height real difference in the crops. It is registered now, and it does present a real option in terms of managing dead nettle without having to go to some of the unregistered options that are more commonly used, and maintaining that crop selectivity. Keep maintaining on the 14-day withholding period for the initial application, and you can keep on your rotational grazings after those 14 days. So it's really maintains a lot of productivity, taking out of the weeds, and or some of the herbicide options that may have been used may inhibit some of your rotational options that you wish to go back to once that crop's finished.
Yeah, obviously when using Forage Max, the best time to use it is on 3 to 4 leaf forages where you're able to get a good spray coverage of the weeds that'll be present. You know, while we do have a flexible label, you know, spraying when the canopy's already built makes the actual contact on the weeds quite difficult. Paradigm Arylex herbicide has now got a ryegrass or a pasture registration. We see it as a great option, has a really strong fit for the weed spectrum in many pastures. And it's also, this is basically a screen of different ryegrass varieties so that we can get the, demonstrate and give people confidence in the selectivity to the pasture. So really targeting some of the key weeds that you see in pastures and brassicas and some of the others without having any detrimental impact on established ryegrass pastures. So this is basically a screen that is looking for crop selectivity. What we see is that some of the best renovated pastures are ones where you get some nutrient cycling going before you're establishing going back into your long-term lay. So when you're using forage brassicas and things like that to get a nutrient cycle going, come to the end of that when you want to move over to a more of a pasture-based scenario, you do want to make sure you're controlling those volunteers. I'm standing in front of the Ryegrass varieties now. There's also some Phalaris and Cocksfoot and other varieties here. It's really, I mean, having an array of pastures is important to make sure you can meet that feed demand all year round, but it's really important to make sure you're establishing them correctly. So controlling volunteers from volunteer brassica in previous crops, and even making sure you really get on top of those weeds early and then come back in and look for the diversity later is really the key to success if you want a productive pasture that's going to last for a long time.